Hey guys, so today we're going to be doing another movie suggestion, and the theme for today's is fantasy movies. Now, I'm not going to be doing, like Lord of the Rings, Narnia, Harry Potter, all those just because those are so well known, and I've already done some like the BFG. So I picked some more, some that are just single movies, not really in series, and that you might not have heard of, but I think they're really great. Some of them I do have, some of them I don't have, so just bear with me. The first one, I'm going to start with some what they call low fantasy ones, which are more like what Harry Potter is sort of in our world. It's not like a completely different world like Lord of the Rings, which is more like high fantasy. So I would say this is the lowest of the fantasies in a good way. The Sorcerer's Apprentice. This is a Disney movie. It's one of my favorite live-action Disney movies in recent... Oh, God, I guess it was like 10 years ago. But it is a really funny one. Because Disney, you don't watch them for something super serious, but they are very fun, and this one in particular is very fun. It's got Nicolas Cage as a sorcerer. I mean, and Jay Baruchel. What else would you want? It's actually genuinely a really fun one, and it's got the March of the Toadstools Sorcerer's Apprentice theme in it. That's one of my favorite classical themes. The next one is Inkheart. If you're a fantasy person, you've probably read the books. I've actually read the first one. I started the second one. I never got to actually finish it, so I want to finish them up. The movie, if you read the book, it doesn't do justice, I guess, to the book itself. It's a little cheesier, but I still really like it. It's one of those that it's charming, and it's one of those that you're like, okay, well, I like the movie because it was fun to watch. It's not great, but it's still fun. It's got Andy Serkis in it, and Brendan Fraser, my man, and Jim Broadbent, and Helen Mirren, and Paul Bettany. It's got a ton of people in it, and I mean, it's fun. It's still got really, really cool moments towards the end and in the middle. It's one of those that I watched a little bit later, and I was like, oh, it was a little better when I was younger, but still a really fun movie if you want to watch like a fantasy movie for the family. The next one, I don't have the movie, but I do have the book. Or one of the books, the Spiderwick Chronicles. They actually made a movie out of it, and I thought it was really good. It was actually pretty suspenseful and entertaining, and yeah, I mean, if I don't know if you have read the book, then you kind of know what goes on, but it had a new sort of twist on some fantasy things, it had all those same sort of elements, but I don't know, they were put together differently. It's really fun. It's just another one that's kind of got some really neat ideas. I mean, there's not much else to say. It just is really cool and inventive. And I don't know, I did feel a little bit of suspense. I mean, I did watch it when I was like 10 or something, but it was still pretty frightening. So the other three I don't have, but the first one is Legend, which is probably the most high fantasy out of the ones that I'm gonna suggest, and that's because it's directed by Ridley Scott. I will confess, I actually haven't finished the whole thing. I started it with my aunt, and then we actually fell asleep because it was so relaxing. But it is very high fantasy. I mean, it's got that like haze over it the whole time, that like sun haze, and I mean, it's actually Tom Cruise's one of his first roles, and he plays. I want to say, I don't even know what he plays. I think he's like a sprite or something. And it's just your classic good versus evil and very high fantasy. It's like there's like a whole scene where they're just like, look at that unicorn and how majestic it is. But it was directed by Ridley Scott, so it was I would never have pegged him to do something like that. But it's really cool. I like I said, I have to finish it, but so far you have to be into fantasy, but it is very cool. It's very peaceful. Yeah. The next two actually sort of have a weird theme, but the first one is Labyrinth, and the other one is Pan's Labyrinth, which I finally have seen both. Labyrinth, David Bowie. It's very Jim Henson Muppets. And it's got Jennifer Connelly going through a labyrinth, which isn't a maze. It's sort of like a maze, except it keeps changing. And she's got to find her baby brother. And it's just, I don't know, it's fun. Again, it's another fantasy. It's either very serious and very like, wow, that was really, really good. Or it's, okay, a little cheesy, but it was fun and charming. That's just, what fantasy is. And this one definitely is like on the charming scale. It's got, you know, the David Bowie song in it, and he sings a little bit, and he just steals the movie, honestly. But it's really cool. Check that one out for sure. That's a good family fun one. And Pan's Labyrinth is on the other end of the scale, where it's a lot more serious. Not so much for a family watch, but it is very, very well done. I just saw it a couple weeks ago. I will say I was surprised at the lack of labyrinth for a movie called Pan's Labyrinth. It's actually more about her going to the labyrinth to get. I think it's what is it? It's 3 trials that she has to do to become queen of a labyrinth, because she's been the long-awaited queen, and she has to do these 3 trials, and she keeps going back to the labyrinth each time to this fawn. And so it was weird, because I was like, oh, I thought she was going to be going through the labyrinth, but it's very cool. It's very like a new take on Alice in Wonderland type thing, and it's got a lot of very intense historical moments in like World War II. It's very interesting. It was really cool. I mean, cinematically, it looked incredible as well. So both of the Labyrinth movies, one is for families, one's probably not as much for families, but both of them are very whimsical and fantasy and all. So those are the 6 that I want to suggest. Now, the reason I was suggesting them is because for the next few weeks, starting July 31st through September 1st, I'm going to be doing a review each week, at least 1 or 2 of them, for the Harry Potter movies, which I've been wanting to do since I started this channel. I've been itching to do it, and I'm finally letting myself do it. Now, if you're a Harry Potter fan, obviously you know why I picked July 31st and September 1st to start and end, because it's almost the amount of time I need to do if I do like 1 or 2 per week. But also, of course, July 31st is Harry's birthday. September 1st is when they go to Hogwarts. I know. I just picked it really well. But yeah, so I'm really excited about that, and I just wanted to prep you mentally for all the fantasy that's about to come. And yeah, be excited about that. Do your homework and go watch the movies. If you haven't seen them, go watch them. And if you have seen them, well, I don't think I have to convince you to go watch them again. You're probably already watching them, like right now. You're probably actually, you stopped watching this video because you were like, I need to go watch Harry Potter. But yeah, I'm going to be doing all 8 of them, and then the first and maybe the second Fantastic Beasts. I'll probably do the second Fantastic Beasts as well. So yeah, get ready for that. I'm super excited about that. That's going to be, just get ready for me to geek out. You're going to see some passionate sides of me. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, so anyway, that's it for those suggestions then, and be excited for that. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, movies right in the middle. See you guys later.